Hello, everybody. Welcome to One Mic Conversations. It's Schizo along with Conrad. He is the managing director at Buddy Buzz. He has been doing fitness and EMS expert for 15 years and is the managing director at Buddy Buzz, even though I said that twice.
That's fine.
So you're
Thank
here
you
to
for having
talk
me.
about that's no problem, man. I appreciate you being on. Now you work at Buddy Buzz, which is focused on EMS. Can you explain what EMS is and
Yeah,
and and how it's used and everything?
sure. So EMS stands for electrical muscle stimulation or electric muscle stimulation, doesn't really matter. It's that in itself is a shorter acronym from the full acronym, which is WBEMS, which stands for whole body EMS, so whole body electrical muscle stimulation. And what it is, the concept is that you wear a suit like the one this mannequin here behind me is wearing. It has electrodes on all the major muscle groups, and each electrode provides a gentle impulse through electricity that stimulates your muscles. They help contract and enhance your muscle contraction. And the goal is muscle development. So EMS, it's a 20-minute workout that equates to roughly 90 minutes of resistance training.
How many times a week would you have to do it? Since it's 20 minutes for 90 minutes, how many times a week do you have to do it?
The strong recommendation is twice a week. It's a strong recommendation from the CDC, anyways, of resistance training. The CDC recommends about 2 sessions of about 40 minutes a week of resistance training with some more specific guidelines. But since this equates to about 90 minutes, it's still better to do. I mean, once a week would match the CDC's guidelines, but twice a week would be the ideal. It's where we see the most results. 100% of my clients have all gotten results within 8 sessions if they were doing it twice a week for without any big breaks.
Is cardio a big thing with this too? Like, do you do this plus cardio, or is it mainly you could do this and pretty much get a lot out of it?
So you can do this and get a lot out of it, but you can also do this with cardio. Like you can also use EMS for cardio, except the equivalent is not. I mean, it's a little more. It's about 20% more calories burn and expenditure, but the to do 20 minutes of this and for it to equate close to 25 to 30 minutes, I personally don't see it as a big deal compared to doing this for resistance training and getting an hour and a half to 2 hours of weightlifting in it, especially because it has other big traits, which are that you don't need to move or work through the full range of motion. You don't need to use heavy weights. In fact, we use very light weights. Even with bigger, very muscular people, we still use maybe 10 pounds, 12 pounds, 20 pounds at most, even though they may be able to lift 40, 50, 60 pounds. And the reason is that the load is mostly provided through the stimulation. That's what creates the challenge. It's what creates the muscle contraction. And once you have a maximum muscle fibers contracted, there are no more muscle fibers to contract. And so you've reached your peak contraction. And so you don't need to use heavy weights. It's very gentle on the joints. It's very low impact. It's joint friendly. So if people with injuries, pains, aches, their knees hurt, their lower back hurts, you can circumvent all those issues. And in addition, you don't have to use heavy weight. So you don't have the limitation of what equipment is available to you, especially like we provide in Los Angeles and San Diego, we provide at-home service. Many people don't have gyms in their house. This provides the entire gym. We bring the gym to you, basically.
Okay. Now, is it very specific to men or women, or either can do it?
Either can do it. Our clientele is mostly women, but we have some men that also do it. Why more women? It's just culturally, women tend to not want to lift heavy weights. There's a fear of bulking up. We still hear to this day. There's the factor that gyms are not always suited for women. There tend to be a lot of like men grunting and throwing weights around and not being very accommodating for other people. And so for women, they want to avoid those situations. This is great. But in addition, people are busy. And so people and women tend to be busier if they're taking care of their kids and also working and all these things, and also taking, managing household and everything. This is a great solution to fit in a workout and not have to go anywhere, and get as much out of it.
Is there a certain age range to where it's too much for someone at a certain age, or any age could really do it, or are there specifics?
So we don't train kids. So anybody, so 16 and up is where we've put the limitation. And even at 16, we need parental consent. And still, like the 16-year-olds that we've trained, they're like athletes and very body aware and very in tune and like basically working out all the time. And so this is part of their workout or in addition. Otherwise, there's no limitation. We've had clients up to 84 years old, and this is great for them because if they have, typically the older you get, the more pains and aches and illnesses you have, this can circumvent a lot of those issues.
When you talk about illnesses, what has been shown illness-wise that it helps? Is there anything, or injuries, or specific injuries, or specific health concerns that it's been known to help? Is there anything like that?
Yeah, there are studies that show that for pains, and let's talk about lower back pain or other joint related pains. This comes from a physical therapy background. So EMS didn't start in the fitness industry; it started in physical therapy to treat pains and aches and to reduce. On one side to avoid muscle atrophy. If like you're bedridden and you don't want to lose all your muscle mass, then you can get stimulated to maintain muscle. But on the other hand, to reduce muscle and nervous system activation in like for your traps, typically like for shoulders, a lot of people get TENS units. That's what it's called in physical therapy, where you get little patches and it kind of like stimulates the muscle to relax it. You've maybe tried it. Same concept of technology, right? The concept is the same. It's just that we use very different settings to elicit deep muscle contraction and to create strength in the muscle that is a little different than relaxing. We can also use it for relaxing, like it has pads on the lower back and so on, and we can also use it for relaxing. But what we've noticed also is that people that come with pains, aches, also like soreness, they do this workout, it eliminates all that. It's just the nature of the electricity going through the body, through the muscle, through the nervous system. It just relaxes certain aches and allows for to move a little better. And I've had many clients like they train with me and like immediately after they're like, oh, look, now I can bend over and touch my toes where this morning I couldn't do that. I'm talking about older populations, but
Yeah.
otherwise, for diabetes, this is a great solution because I've worked many years with diabetics. Diabetics, of course, they need to manage their diet, but the other side is exercise. And what we were seeing is that the more resistance training diabetics do, the more the muscle is sensitive to absorbing insulin. And so then, therefore, they can eventually stop or at least reduce the amount of insulin that they need to take. I'm talking about type 2 diabetics here. But
Okay.
so this allows people with type 2 diabetes to eventually start reducing their insulin levels.
Now, can weight wise, can the suit fit pretty much anybody?
Yeah. So here I can demonstrate. So these are this is a professional suit that we have, and so it has these straps. So the suit can fit in any body, and we have different sizes as well for different heights. But the suit is very adjustable, and so we can get the straps looser or longer to adapt to most bodies. And so far, there's not been a person that we've been like, oh no, we can't train you. You don't fit, or
Okay.
the foot is not the suit won't fit on
So
you,
the
or it's too large.
so the weight, circumference, or height, it's no problem at all. It's just
No.
the age. No, nobody under 16. That's pretty much it.
Nobody under 16, mainly because they're not fully developed, their muscles are not developed. And again, 16 is still with like an asterisk, like we need parental guidance, and
Okay.
the teenager needs to be very body aware as well.
Okay. Okay. Now, I want to show a picture, and this is of a woman. Now, this is just a normal exercise that you would do, um, just doing a workout, right? No
Yeah.
weights, no
So
nothing, just a. Go ahead.
yeah. So here, what you're seeing, what I want to describe
Oh,
here, you
hold on,
see
hold
the
on, wait,
trainer.
hold on, hold on. Oh, sorry. For some reason, it stopped. Okay, now we. There it goes. I'll just keep it
Okay.
on. Go ahead.
So here you see the trainer in the background. The trainer should be paying attention to the client, but this is for a photo shoot. But the client here is wearing the suit and is basically doing a rotation. And the trainer has an iPad that controls every muscle. So every muscle can be set to the desired level. And typically we encourage everybody to, for that desired level to be as challenging as that muscle can take. So the suit is completely, or the intensity is completely customized to each muscle in your body and to each person, which means that we could also train two people at the same time, one being a professional athlete, 20 years old, and someone that has never worked out in their life and is 80 years old, and we can train them together and go through the same exercises, but it's going to be as challenging for each other because we're going to go to the highest level that they can each tolerate for each muscle. So the
Okay.
muscles that we cover are quads, so quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, lower back, mid back, so lats, upper back, traps, chest, abs, and biceps and triceps.
Okay. Uh. Now, do you, as they get better and better or used to it more, do you turn up the intensity, or it's just one intensity for the thing for the body buzz itself? Is it just one intensity the whole time, or you maneuver it or change it rather?
Yeah, we change it. So certain movements will flush the electrode a little more onto the muscle, and so we might have to adjust that intensity either down or up if what we want is a little higher stimulation. If someone is doing, say, a deadlift, a typical strength training exercise, we may increase the glutes and abs, but decrease the quads to allow the movement to be done without much of a challenge from the quads, but more of a challenge from the glutes.
Okay, okay. Now, so this doesn't make women bulkier because you said before this doesn't make women bulky at all.
So it doesn't, EMS shines at getting people stronger and getting people to recover faster, getting people from injury to playing sports again. It has a lot of good, let me repeat that.
Go
So
ahead.
EMS has a lot of great applications. One is, in my opinion, it's the strongest one, is to get people stronger. Getting stronger doesn't necessarily mean getting bulkier. It's two different things. Bulk comes from mass, comes from hypertrophy. Strength comes from getting stronger, right? And using those muscle fibers. And when we think of some of the most iconic persons that ever lived was Bruce Lee, who was very
Yep.
strong, but not bulky at all. So EMS helps with getting stronger, not necessarily to create size. Now, how it can help to create size, because I know that some people are interested in creating size, is it creates a deeper mind-body connection. So a lot of people can't activate their glutes, for example, because they sit all day and then they get to the gym and they need to do a couple exercises to activate their glutes, glute bridges, clams, etc., to get their glutes firing, and then go into squats and deadlifts and so on. With EMS, there's no escaping the electricity. You turn up the glutes, you're going to feel in the glutes. And so then it creates that mind body, it helps with that mind body connection that then eventually can help with hypertrophy if that's the desired goal. But otherwise, most people that come to us, they train twice a week. they get stronger and they get a little bit of fat loss, and overall they reduce pains and aches.
Okay, so who are the people that shouldn't use it? I can't remember if you went over that. You were I'm not sure if
No,
you went. Did you go over that yet or no?
no, I haven't. So there are some absolute contraindications. Absolute contraindications means that even if you wanted to, you cannot do it. And that is because there's either no research or that the research shows that this is not advisable for these populations. But one is pregnant people. You just cannot do it because we don't know how it's going to affect the fetus. People with electronic medical devices, so like a pacemaker or like an
Okay.
automatic insulin pump or so, where like the electricity might interfere with that connectivity. People with severe kidney disease, severe cardiovascular disease, epilepsy, this could trigger an episode. Severe neurological diseases. So even though there is some research, and for example, Parkinson's is a neurological disease, a severe neurological disease, there is some research that shows promising results. But the FDA has set up these guidelines, and they said like if people have these conditions, they cannot do it.
Yeah, it's to protect anyone that could be vulnerable. Basically, they just want to make sure nobody
Yeah.
does it and hurts themselves and stuff. So, is I wanted to. I just lost my train of thought. Well, it's also always good to talk to a doctor about any exercise you start anyway to make sure there is nothing wrong anyway, which I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys probably do, right?
Yeah, so there's another set of relative contraindications where they may need or not. So, for example, someone comes with cardiovascular disease, but it's not severe. Like, what is severe, right? The FDA doesn't specify this is severe, this is not severe, right? So it's up to interpretation a little bit. And so, in those cases where someone is like, "Well, I have a bit of an arrhythmia, is that severe or not?" Kind of depends. And so we send them to the doctor. If the doctor is like, yes, you should do it, or no, I don't know about it. And this is the issue also, is that doctors don't know about this technology, right? This is why I'm coming onto podcast and talking about it, is because a lot of people don't know about that this exists. And so doctors are not necessarily, they may or may not have heard of this technology. For the most part, most people in the US have not heard of EMS. So it is unlikely that they're going to be like, yeah, go ahead and no worries. But if someone can do a TENS unit, then they should be able to do EMS, but it doesn't always equate.
Okay, now another picture I wanted to show. It's like it seems like you would be able to do this on.
Yep, it's up.
Now, is this more a yoga thing or no? Or am I wrong? I don't
No,
know
no,
yoga
no.
very well, but
No. So I mean, the closest maybe
hold on,
exercise
let me put that back.
program.
Yeah, I gotta put it back. Sorry, it went
So
off
this is just
screen.
a core exercise doing on the floor. The person is doing on the floor, but where I see a lot of complementary use is Pilates. So EMS with
Okay,
Pilates makes a lot of sense.
okay,
Pilates typically doesn't use heavy weights either. It focuses a lot on the core and small movements for mind-body connection and body awareness. So EMS can enhance a Pilates session. I mean, EMS can enhance pretty much any exercise modality. I would not put yoga into exercise per se.
okay,
I
okay.
would keep it separately, but uh, yeah, you can. We typically train people with traditional strength training exercises, not traditional strength training weights, but we would use like 3 pounds, 5 pounds to perform pretty much the same movements that you would do, like squats, chest press, deadlifts, one arm rows, et cetera, et cetera, lunges. But you can also use it in Pilates settings. And so many times in our programs, we have a variety of programs, but we have a program where we include a core portion. So we have, regular strength training, and then we specifically target the core. And so we can alter the settings where maybe we reduce a little bit the settings on the arms and legs, but we focus a lot more on the abs, glutes, and to make sure that the person is really connecting to those muscles while they're performing things such as like a side plank.
So no matter what, so you said Pilates would be okay with this then, right? That's a Pilates move, right? It's yoga,
I mean,
Pilates. I don't know.
this would be a mat Pilates, but you can do Pilates moves, but you can also do boxing with EMS. The one thing I wouldn't do ever with EMS is swim in a swimming pool. But but other than
Well,
that,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you can cycle. You can. I mean, I've seen people put on the suit and play basketball. I don't recommend it. The battery is very expensive, so I can show you what the battery looks like. So this battery has connectors. It connects to it slips into a pocket that the suit has, and then you can connect it through an iPad, and then through the iPad you can control the settings. So you can set up certain settings for cardio, for example, and then go and play basketball if you want. It's going to get you really tired really quickly, and you're not going to be able to play for an hour and a half. And you can play for 20, 30 minutes and you'll be fine. But
So
it's not where EMS shines. Again, the EMS shines as strength training
okay, but
replacement or complement.
but the most you could do it if you do it at all in a day is 20 minutes.
20 minutes is a strong recommendation for several reasons. One, it's taxing on your nervous system. Your central nervous system gets really tired. Even in the 20 minutes, we include a warm up, we have the workout, and then we always include a little bit of recovery. I believe you have a picture for the recovery.
Yeah. Let me go. Now, what's happening in this picture exactly?
So you have a few dead people here. No, so after the workout, they're in Shavasana. So if you want to use a yoga term, so they're in Shavasana, which basically means lying down. They don't necessarily have to lie down. They can sit up. They can stretch if they want a little bit. The suit sometimes is a little like it won't allow you to stretch in every single direction that you typically can or would do. But the strong recommendation is just lie down however you're comfortable and allow the suit to provide a very superficial stimulation. So here the stimulation is a lot more superficial. So it's not a deep contracting stimulation. It's more like a gentle massage. This is closer to like a TENS unit, what a TENS unit does, but all over the body. And so here we have two people that are lying down and the suit is just giving very superficial stimulation to promote blood flow, help remove lactic acid, and anecdotally, it does a little bit of a lymphatic drainage.
Oh, okay. It seems very interesting. I mean, 90 minutes and 20 minutes, man. Especially with the way people work and they do that. That's incredible. And the fact that it fits any size person pretty much. That's really good.
Yeah. So we have different sizes. Like if I can, like the sizes are also a little off. Like I'm 6'2" and 190 pounds and I can fit in a small, even though my real size should be a medium. And there's also a large and an extra large. So there's plenty of wiggle room to fit different bodies.
That's really good. Well, I can't remember if you explained this. You explained a little bit. Where did it originate from? This type of technology. I know you talked about
physical therapy.
Yeah, you talked about that, but where did it come from? The technology itself, using it for exercise.
So for fitness, so it started in Germany. It was a group of researchers. They were like, they saw what EMS can do, and there was also a researcher in Russia that was treating ice skater that injured herself, and he just cranked up the settings. And throughout the recovery, I think I don't know if she sprained her ankle. I don't know exactly, but something that had to do with her ankle. And so he was using this on the calf muscle, on the quads, etc., and the legs. And then when she started skating again, and she was stronger than she was before. And then from there, that's when the idea originated that like, oh, maybe electricity can elicit muscle development for strength. And then in Germany, it's about 13 years now, 13, 14 years, I think. They decided like, okay, can we just put a TENS unit basically in the entire body, and it had like a bunch of cables coming out. And they knew they needed some conductivity. So the skin is not very conductive. So you need something to make it more conductive, which is water. And so you have to wet it. And so I know I met one of the original OGs of EMS who was telling me like they would hose down the person in soaking wet with their clothes on and then put on the suit and then train. Obviously, that is not very I guess
It,
marketable.
it,
And
yeah,
but then the technology advanced to like creating a suit, and we're like you can see that there are no cables jumping out,
yeah, yeah. It's
and
just the
so things
battery
are
pack, basically, right?
yeah, yeah.
It just a battery pack. That's the wire thing, and that's it.
It has cables inside. They're just like sewn in, and there's like they're like hidden behind like a piece of fabric and so on.
All right, so it's not just hanging everywhere. That's
Yeah.
that's that's good. What made you decide to go into EMS? What did you see in it that attracted you?
Yeah, I very quickly in my career as a trainer, I started training people with injuries and overweight and people with diabetes. And I kept seeing somewhat of the same obstacles. And I don't have time. I'm not feeling motivated. I have pains. I have aches. I don't know what to do at the gym. Like even if they had enough money to hire a trainer like myself for once a week, like then I wanted to give them homework, but even that homework they sometimes they didn't know exactly how to do it or so. So there were a lot of obstacles there. And when I came across EMS, I thought like, okay, it resolves the issue of time. And so it shortens the workout to 20 minutes. It resolves the issue of motivation because you have to do it with a trainer. It solves the issue of pains and aches because now you don't have to move through the full range of motion. It also has the double effect of like some pains and aches, especially the ones that are neuromuscular. It can help reduce the pain and the ache. So it helps with overall well-being. And it also helps with access to equipment. So at the time I was in New York, where a lot of people, so I work with diabetic patients where I prescribe them exercise. But in New York, there's no space in apartments. There's no backyards. There's no running outside in the
Yeah.
winter, right? So there's a lot more limitations where I thought like, okay, well, EMS, you don't need equipment. You don't need space. You just need to have enough space for two people to stand and get put on the suit. So it solved a lot of issues, in my opinion, that the fitness industry right now doesn't address entirely. Like you have shorter workouts and you have intense workouts and you have low impact workouts, but you don't have a workout that is everything. And for me, EMS is that.
Did you try it yourself at one point back then when you first saw it?
Yes, and this is going to be the story for any, if you encounter any EMS trainer, they're all going to tell you the same story, which is like I was extremely skeptical. I was like, oh, this sounds like the Bruce Lee. I know I mentioned Bruce Lee already, but Bruce Lee in the movie Enter the Dragon, right? Jason Scott Lee is like, oh, I'm injured and I'm doing push-ups by typing in my book. I was very, very skeptical. And I went to a local studio back in the day. It was in New York City. And the trainer knew I was a trainer. And I think he wanted to really show me how effective it can be. And after the 20-minute workout, initially I felt like, wow, this felt like nothing. Like I feel like basically this feels like a long warm up pretty much. That's how I felt. But the next day I was very sore and I was very sore for 5 days. And that was the most sore I had been in forever. Like I can't remember any other instance. Like I remember instances where I was really sore for 2 or 3 days, but 5 days straight where my glutes were just in pain almost. That made me a believer.
Well, when you try anything new, so people know, whether it's weightlifting or anything that you're talking about with this, soreness happens, and it could last for
Mm-hmm.
like a few days. So that's normal, no matter what you're doing, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you're doing regular weight training or cardio, you're starting to do that. Soreness after the first time, or even for a couple weeks after you do it, is pretty normal, right? Until your body gets used to it.
It's a couple of weeks, I would say that's pushing it. But so the first time you do anything new, typically you're most likely going to be sore. I wouldn't say that you are going to be sore, but most likely. But you have to
Okay.
understand that I didn't come to this not having done anything for a week and a half. Like
Okay.
I came to EMS. When I did my EMS session, I was training 5 days a week. I was playing basketball two,
Okay.
3 times a week. Right. I was doing a lot of things where nothing really was making me sore. And then I tried this and I was sore for 5 days, which is the most sore. Like I've been really sore. Like I used to go to basketball camps and we trained 3 hours of basketball in the morning, then weightlifting in the afternoon, and then another few games in the evening. And that was for an entire week every day. So basically training 8 hours a day. And yeah, after the camp, I was really tired and really sore, but it didn't last 5 days specifically in one muscle or right. Like it was just
Okay.
general fatigue. So what it told me is that it really does target the muscle. It really goes into, it mostly works on the nervous system side. So if your nervous system is activating more muscle fibers, then you are going to get stronger.
Okay. 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 Now, with somebody that's overweight, right? How fast or concerning weight wise that you notice a difference? If
So
somebody that's
within
overweight and losing weight and losing inches and stuff like that, how long does that take, or when do you start to notice?
Yeah, so we take a few measurements. We take caliper measurements, so body fat measurements, and circumference. So to see like if the circumference is the same, then the fat measurement will tell us like, okay, you've reduced in fat, but the circumference is the same. So basically, you've reduced fat but gained a little bit of muscle. Typically, within 8 sessions, so 1 month, 2 sessions a week, people have positive body composition changes. It varies how much person to person. Some people start an exercise program and immediately start making other healthier changes in their life. Typically, that happens together. But even that, like so far, 100% of our clients have gotten positive results even within a month.
Well, good dieting is a big help when you
Yeah,
do any type of exercise, especially with
yeah.
something like this. That probably helped. Good diets, eating good, is probably what helped those people lose a little bit faster than others, right?
Yeah, but we've had people that have told us like, I've not changed anything. I've not changed anything in my diet. I've only started doing this, and before this, I was doing something else, right? Like they were
Okay.
training at a gym or something. And in this, there's a there's a part of EMS being something that most people have never done before. So there's an introduction of a new challenge that the body has not like has never experienced before, and so now they're trying something new, and therefore they immediately see a change. But what we see over time, over 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6 months, is that people continue to get strong. People can continue to work out if they're doing it regularly. That they continue to progress in the overall well-being, reducing pains and aches, and getting stronger.
Now, do you end up with being like your arms, your stomach become more defined? Like if you were doing it regular exercise, right? Like six pack
So,
stuff like that. Does that happen too, or is that something else? Because you know how some people want that. There's
of
men, if
course,
they're
of
going to try
course,
it, they're going to women. They want the same thing
of
sometimes.
course.
So does that happen, or is that mainly exercise wise, or does that help that too, or like how does
So,
that work with definition, or not being bulky or like you know
mhm.
lifting, benching like 500 pounds, but you know what I mean, like just the cut and stuff like that. Does that help that as well?
Yeah, and I'm gonna say so. I live in Los Angeles, and we offer at-home services in Los Angeles and San Diego, but we also have a studio in Newport Beach. And in Newport Beach, everybody that has come in so far has said like, I want to look better, right? I also want to get stronger
Okay.
and all these things, but looking better is sort of like the bigger goal
Okay.
or
Okay.
drive. Um, so it helps. Exercise, any exercise, I would say, any exercise is part of the equation, but most of the bigger side of the equation is diet, like you said yourself. Then there's sleep, which a lot of people neglect. There's not. It's very rare that I encounter someone and like ask, "How's your sleep?" and they're like, "Oh, it's perfect." It's great. I sleep 8 to 10 hours a day. Like, no, most people are like,
Who
well, I'm sleep
who
deprived. Exactly. Are able to do it, but it's stress, right? So diet, sleep, stress management, I would say, a very big component of weight loss and influencing stress eating and so on, and then exercise. So out of all that, exercise helps, but when people see exercise as like, oh, I'm going to exercise more to lose weight, I think that is the wrong approach. If you want to lose weight, start with diet.
Mhm.
And then when you're losing weight, the problem with losing weight is that you also lose muscle. If you want to look defined, if you want to look like you have a six pack, if you want to have a butt that doesn't sag, right? Like then you need to do strength training, and that's
Okay.
where if you do strength training and you're dieting, you're going to lose weight, but you're going to maintain your muscle. And my advice to everybody is get as much muscle as you can get, because with age, you're only going to start decreasing the muscle mass that you have. So you can
Okay.
try to maintain it as much as you can, try to increase it if you can. But if you don't do anything, you're just going to lose it. And if you don't do any resistance training, you're going to lose it even faster.
So pretty much always be active, at least somewhat. And what you have would help even more because of the fact how fast it works. So that's
So
the benefit too.
yeah, it's the benefit of EMS is that it's low impact, so a lot more people can do it, right? People with talking about people with injuries and pains and aches, and but it's also very intense, which that combination doesn't quite exist. Other like outside of cardio, like you can swim and do sprints, and that can be intense, high intensity, and low impact, but it's swimming after a while becomes a cardio exercise modality, not a resistance training modality. Um, and so in resistance training, if you want something to be intense and low impact, it's going to be very hard to find. And on top of that, that you can fit into anywhere. And on top of that, that you don't need a lot of equipment for. Now you're adding benefits that EMS provides that nothing else in the fitness industry can provide at the same time.
So where did the name, what was it, Buddy Buzz, right?
Body buzz, yes. And
Body
so
Buzz, not Buddy Buzz, Body Buzz. Where did that name come from?
So the owners, Jeff and Yvette, came up with the name. It was catchy, and the sensation that when the stimulation goes through the body is a bit like a buzz in the body. So body buzz made sense, and plus it's a catchy name.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. All right, now you said you're in California, so tell everybody where they can find you, how they can make appointments, and just go ahead and tell everybody what they need to do.
Yeah, so we have a studio in Newport Beach, and where people can come to us and they can train on one-on-one or one-on-two, semi-private. And then we also have at home, so concierge service in San Diego and in Los Angeles. And people can
Okay.
find us
What?
on. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Where
Uh,
can they go online to find you?
yeah, so bodybuzzfit.com is the website. So bodybuzzfit.com, or on Instagram, bodybuzzfitness and bodybuzz Newport Beach.
I want to thank Conrad for being on one of my conversations. He's the managing director at Body Buzz. I almost said Buddy again. Body Buzz. And I really appreciate you being on. Thank you very much for being on, Conrad.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Skit, and good luck. Good luck with your podcast.
Thank you, and good luck with everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. All right.